We are back at it.
My responsibility is to make this place great again.
Champions of the Big 12.
This is not the 1980s OSU.
Remember, always have faith in God, but have faith in yourself and certainly have faith in the Cowboys.
Let her rip.
We are back at it. Welcome back to another edition of the Pistols Firing Podcast. I am Carson Cunningham, joined as always by Colby Powell. Colby, how you doing on this? What day is today? Say Wednesday, on this hump day, Wednesday night recording as we record for this podcast. How you doing tonight, Colby?
Doing great. Glad to be back at it. We little hiatus. I know you and the family took a trip. How was it?
It was great. It was good to get away. It had been a while since I had gotten some time off of work. Me and the girls went out to Hot Springs, Arkansas. I think I mentioned that the last time I went out there. We went out there with a couple last time. This time it was a family deal. Spent a lot of time by the pool right there on the lake. Did a little paddle boarding, a little kayaking. It was great. We got recharged, and it's always good to get away with the family. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did y'all get good weather, or were those storms and stuff coming through? How was it?
We actually had perfect weather. I mean, we were kind of concerned, like it was a lot of forecasted for rain, and it didn't rain. It didn't really rain at all. We had perfect hot weather, the right times. It was nice and cool the days we had to be out kind of walking around downtown. So we really couldn't have had better weather. It was fantastic. And I did a radio hit on the Sports Animal on that Monday, and my friend Gideon Hamilton, who I've known for a long time now, fellow Oklahoma State alum, had me talk about World Cup, and I was kind of afraid that Traber and Al might call in and be like, what is this garbage talking about soccer on our airways? We hate soccer. So it was fun to catch up with him. He also asked me a lot about Eric Morris. And when he asked me about Eric Morris, just kind of where I am with it, I just, you know how when you do radio hits, Colby, you've done a million of them. Things pop into your head that you had no idea you were going to say beforehand. And I was reminded of a story from the late, great Bob Berry Jr., who told me, when Oklahoma hired Bob Stoops, I was working at Channel 4 at the time, fresh out of college. Van Shea Ivan was a longtime sports reporter at KFOR. Well, his brother Val Gene Ivan, who I believe just retired as one of the sports medicine doctors, trainers at Oklahoma State, he was at the University of Tennessee back then when Oklahoma hired Bob Stoops. Tennessee, of course, bitter rivals with Florida, where Bob Stoops was the defensive coordinator. And Bobby called him to get more information about this Bob Stoops, who OU was hiring. And he said, Bobby, that's a bad hire for Oklahoma State. Meaning he's about to win a lot of games, and the days of Bob Simmons beating up on Oklahoma are over. And boy, was he right. And the reason I bring that story up is that's how I feel about the hire of Eric Morris. I think that's a really bad hire for Texas Tech. The caveat there is he's also an alum of that school, but it's also just a really bad hire for the rest of the Big 12 because, as we know, Oklahoma State's been the flag bearer of the conference for any school not named Oklahoma or Texas who are no longer in the conference. So that was kind of my big kind of takeaway talking about Eric Morris with Gideon on the Sports Animal. Again, thanks to Gideon for having me on.
Yeah, I love Gideon. He's the best. I felt so bad. He texted me last week, and I forgot about it. It was one of those, like, I read the text. I was like, oh, okay, I'll reply to this later. Dude, I am. And I got busy, and I forgot about it for 6 days. And today, somebody texted me and said, hey, Eric Morris is on the Sports Animal right now with Gideon Hamilton. You need to go back and listen later on the podcast. So I've got it pulled up. They've already got the podcast up. I want to listen to it. I didn't have the chance today, but that is at the top of my to-do list. Gideon's the best, so I'm sure him and Coach Morris had a good conversation. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing what all they got into.
Well, I didn't even realize Morris went on. That's burying the lead. I'm certainly second, third, fourth, sixth fiddle to the man himself, Eric Morris. But yeah, that was really fun. Even when I was away, to kind of dip my toe in the sports water. And I watched a lot of World Cup. I think my wife's tired of watching. There was a really great tweet. It was like, I love the World Cup because my wife will ask me to do something, and I'm saying, hold on, it's 0-0 between Timbuktu and Wakanda. I have to watch. Like the other night, I joked like Jordan Albania is on tonight, or Jordan Algeria is on tonight. You want to watch? Just kidding around. So that's always fun too. But we're going to talk a lot about Oklahoma State on this podcast, and there's a lot of things going on, especially with the uniforms, a big sponsorship. Well, if you want to get an Oklahoma State jersey, you know the place to go. It's Chris's University Spirit, your one-stop Cowboy shop at 244 South Knobloch Street there in Stillwater. You know where they're at. Right over there by Hideaway Pizza. And if you're shopping online all day, every day, they offer free standard shipping on orders over $75. Oklahoma State's marketing department and their apparel is just top notch these days. I would have killed for some of this gear when I was in college. We kind of had just the basics. Now it's just you got every brand known to man. Chris's is the place to go to get geared up for football season and beyond, which we're going to talk a little bit about as well. And off the top, Colby, I think big news for Oklahoma State was this sponsorship they have landed with the Osage Nation. They were tweeting out a bunch of all the sports accounts were tweeting out this Native American in full this person in full Native American garb and tweeting out the date, which was 6/23 of 2026. I think everyone, Colby, kind of rushed to judgment and said, "Oh, every sport's getting the turquoise N7 uniforms." That's kind of the first thought from everyone. But big influx of cash here. The NCAA just instilled an option where you can have a jersey sponsor. I think I have a picture here, but just your thoughts on the big news this week.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's brilliant. Why would you not take advantage of this in an era of pay for play collegiate athletics? Every dollar counts. Like, we're getting tweets about baseball, and we've got transfers coming over in women's basketball. Wrestling has a roster to fill out. We've got this new 5-for-5 stuff. The rules are constantly changing. The one consistent, as the rules feel like they're changing every week, is that you've got to have money to fill out the roster. You got to be able to pay your coaching staff and all your players. So, I think it would be crazy not to take advantage of this. I think Oklahoma State's already kind of the relationship that the university has with the tribes in the state of Oklahoma and the nod to the tribes in the state of Oklahoma with the turquoise jersey, some things that Oklahoma State has already done. I think that this was a very easy and natural transition. Osage is an orange logo. It's going to look great on all the jerseys. Like, it would be super weird if we would have gone out and gotten sponsored by Sonic, and now we've got a Sonic patch on the orange and black jerseys. I would have hated it, and despite the money, I would probably be ripping it on here because Oklahoma State is right there every year for best dressed in the country, and it will remain that way thanks to the very clean orange and white, orange and black Osage logo.
Yeah, and I think, me being a lifelong Florida State fan, they have a really cool partnership with the Seminole tribe there in Florida. Back when I was in college in like 2007, the NCAA banned Native American mascots in Florida State, and the Seminole tribe stood up and said, "No, Florida State honors us in the right way. You are not telling them they can't be the Seminoles," which I thought was really cool. And I just think it's a really cool partnership that Oklahoma State now has, and a unique thing with Oklahoma. All the rich tradition with Native American culture, and, the Thunder has embraced the N7 turquoise uniforms in the past as well. And Chad Weiberg kind of spoke to this. He said, Oklahoma State Athletics is grateful for the innovative leadership of the Osage Nation for making this historic partnership. There is a deep connection of shared values between Oklahoma State and the Osage Nation, and this partnership is the latest confirmation of that relationship. And Osage Nation as well has the Osage Casino Hotel in Tulsa, just a short drive away from the OSU Tulsa campus, campus that houses Osage Nation Casino Hotel Student Union in North Hall, which opened in 2020. And Osage National Principal Chief-elect Joe Tillman was on the Cowboy football team from 1978 to 1981. So just a laundry list of connections there beyond the fiscal, Colby. I think Oklahoma State, as I've said since, I don't even know when I started saying it, how much Chad Weiberg was prepared for the NIL era. I think this is another layer of that. And I got a little bit of scoop. Would you like to know some of the finances behind this?
Oh, I've been dying to know some of the finances behind this. What a great scoop.
Well, I'm told, let me see here. I'm told the sponsorship is over $1 million a year just to have that jersey on there, which I'm told also is exactly what Oklahoma State was kind of aiming for. And you may say, well, shoot, I thought it was going to be 20, 30 million or whatever those. I think that's silly. I think $1 million just to have that small of an insignia on your jersey, that's a big chunk of change that a donor doesn't have to pony up. And who knows? Maybe that'll grow to different figures once they get all the metrics and analytics from what that sponsorship on their jersey actually did for the Osage Nation. But nonetheless, Colby, really good partnership and an influx of cash. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the logo and insignia on the screen. Your thoughts on the dollar figures there?
Yeah, if people were throwing out crazy 8-figure numbers, that's insane. I think $1 million, that's a great number. I mean, that pays for a lot. Again, there's just so much that has to go around, and if you can essentially have Osage now as a donor, I mean, does that pay for your quarterback every year for the next decade? I don't know. It depends on how good your quarterback is, I guess. But yeah, that's a big deal that you're not having to go out and find another $1 million donor because you've got Osage on the book for that. So it's just college athletics are getting more and more expensive. They're not getting less expensive anytime soon. So yeah, this is a great deal for Oklahoma State. I love it. And Jim Tillman was from 78 to 81. So I think he's exhausted his 5-year eligibility. I don't think he's going to be able to take that redshirt year and come on back to Stillwater.
Yeah, I don't think so. But again, you're right. The patch is very small. I come from watching English Premier League my whole life, where the main thing on the jersey is the sponsor. The English have no shame. They've been doing that for they have a little patch up here for what the team is, and front and center is the sponsorship. And I think it's just something we'll get used to, right? They already have that in the NBA now with the Loves patch on the Oklahoma State Thunder jersey. I don't even really notice it anymore. But I'm with you. I like the orange insignia. Begins with an O as well. Just a lot of symmetry there, in addition to all the connections they have with the tribe there. We'll talk a little bit more about that, I guess, in Twitter questions. But we need to move along here. We'll answer Twitter questions at the end of the show. I kind of moved up the golf school goodbye from the last because of what Wyndham Clark was able to do. Let me get the Osage image off of here. There we go. Moving on, Colby, the NCAA has passed the 5-year eligibility rule that you mentioned earlier off the top of the show. So correct me if I'm wrong. Essentially, they do away with red shirts, and you get 5 years to play 5 years, right? So in essence, you get that extra year where you don't have to sit out. But every year you're not playing, you don't get that year back. You have 5 years to play 5, essentially. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, that's my understanding, and I think that there are going to be some good things about this, some bad things about this, just like everything else. This has come on as a result of all the lawsuits that have been filed against the NCAA. The NCAA is probably spending barrels and wheelbarrows full of money in court fighting off all these lawsuits to figure out who's eligible, who's not eligible, and a lot of high-powered attorneys are probably having to read tens of thousands of words to figure out who can play another year of college football, and this makes it very simple. So on one hand, I think one of the positive consequences of this is going to be if you get a guy who comes in as a freshman, like you're not having to worry about where are the 4 games we can run this guy out before we burn the red shirt. Like if this guy's good enough, he plays. He goes out and he plays. One of the bad unintended consequences of this is that there's going to be somewhere some kid who works his way up and grinds his tail off for 4 years and finally earns his way onto the field, onto the court, in year 5. That's going to happen. And then in the first or second game of the season, that kid's going to tear his ACL. And his college career is going to be over on the spot. And he's not going to be able to apply for a medical redshirt. And that's going to be heartbreaking. This is kind of where we are with college athletics. There are problems. They're looking for solutions to the problems. This is one that they've come up with. I think there will be some positive. I think that there will be a couple heartbreaking stories along the way with kids in year 5 who suffer injuries. And it's like, you don't get a medical redshirt. You're done, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. But this is where we are in collegiate athletics. This is a solution to what the NCAA has seen as a problem, which is all the lawsuits challenging eligibility and the murkiness around who is eligible, who is not. This solves that problem overnight.
Yeah, Marshall Scott wrote a really good recap of it on Pistols Firing blog. You should check it out. Ruby Malin took to Twitter on Tuesday to ask if she could get a 5th year, but it unfortunately does not apply to those who just finished their 4th season of eligibility. But again, I'm with you. It gets rid of waivers, gets rid of red shirts. It cuts out a lot of the guesswork, not only from the roster, but also from like, hey, I was injured. Will I be granted a waiver? You're just sitting there waiting for a ruling from who knows where with the NCAA on those types of things. But Marshall makes a really good point here that it affects some programs more than others, one being wrestling. Of course, only 10 guys get to wrestle. And there's a lot of decisions being made. We just saw that with Jax Forrest on, do we pull his red shirt? Do we not? We'll sit this guy at this weight this year, which is something Penn State did this past season. They had a guy who had already won a championship. They had him sit in red shirt while another guy wrestled at his weight. So it basically, it's kind of like the backup quarterback situation in football for wrestling. You might have the second best, 174 pound guy in the country, but is he willing to burn a whole year of eligibility to wait his turn? I don't know. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a bit of a roster crunch, I would think, for some sports more than others.
I think wrestling specifically could see more parity in collegiate wrestling because the talent might get a little bit more spread out. Kids might not be willing to sit around and wait whenever they've got this eligibility, and it's not like, okay, I'm sitting this year, but I'm really not losing a year. No. If you sit a year now, you are losing a year. And Marshall mentioned in his write-up, there was this idea that maybe Jax takes an Olympic year in 2028 and trains for the Olympics and does all those things and goes and tries to win gold and do whatever. How does this impact that now? You've got 5 years. Does he want to be a 5-time national champion? There are a lot of decisions to be made on that front. I don't think that wrestling is the only sport where there might be some more parity and rosters might get crunched a little bit. Look, guys want to play. And if now you don't have the luxury of, I'm just burning a red shirt, I'm not actually losing this year. Guys might want to go somewhere else where they're playing immediately, where they have more opportunities to see the field, the court, the map more often. So, I kind of think that this makes college sports more interesting, Carson, for a number of reasons. And again, there are positives and negatives with every solution they could have come up with to this problem. But I actually think that this is good for college sports to just have something that is clear and obvious and just stop confusing people. We've been, ever since COVID, you and I have been joking around on this podcast I don't know. He might be a junior, might be a senior. He might have 2 years left. He might be done next week. We don't know. And now we're going to know. So that part's going to be nice.
This is great. Now when we go to the roster, as we're mid-pod, talking about the middle linebacker, I was well, it says on the roster that he's a redshirt junior. Did he have a COVID year? Did he sit? Did he have a medical? This will help our podcast a lot in terms of knowing who's back next year. That'll help us a lot. One thing I don't like about it, though, Colby, isn't this going to mess with the record books? I feel like every record in college sports now is going to be broken rather, over the next 5, 6, 7 years, essentially. I just think it does hurt, or there needs to be some sort of delineation in this new era of 5-5. I think all the records should kind of stay within that, versus every year some running back in the MAC is approaching Barry Sanders' record, and if he does something in the bowl game, which Barry's bowl stats didn't count, and we all have a conniption about it. That's one thing I don't like about it, is it kind of skews the record books.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like you said, there's the Barry bowl game fiasco where Melvin Gordon goes out and breaks his record in the bowl game, and we're all sitting here sorry, that's not real. We can just count Barry's bowl game, and we know what the record is. I think this is one of those things that, if an Oklahoma State record is impacted, we as Oklahoma State people will know that if it's a big record, and we will be able to provide the context. And nationally, nobody will care. If a record's broken at Iowa, we're not going to care. If a record's broken at Oregon State, we're not going to care. We're not going to cover that. But those people will. So in our community, I think that we'll be able to provide the proper context for any records that fall.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's up to the SIDs to sort out in the media guides. That's a bit of a headache for them. Which, speaking of, do you have anything else on this before we move on to Wyndham?
No. Let's move on to Wyndham.
Yeah, speaking of SIDs, I caused a bit of a stir on Twitter, which I want to do sometimes. I don't mean to do it sometimes, but I just don't pull any punches with my opinions, and it's something you and I have talked about for a long time on this podcast. Is Wyndham Clark considered an Oklahoma State Cowboy? You said no for a very long time. I always said that he spent 4 years at Oklahoma State, 80%, 90% of his college career at Oklahoma State. He did go to Oregon his final year, and he won. Did he win the individual national championship that year? I can't recall.
He won
Or
the
was it the
no. He
team?
won the team championship. He won the team championship.
right.
I believe this was kind of in the stretch where the home team was winning, which was capped by Oklahoma State at Carson in 2018. I believe he won with that Oregon team that won it in Eugene.
That's right. And so I posed on Twitter, like, it was interesting to me because it's something that you and I have kind of bantered about. And I want to preface this right off the top that it doesn't really matter who claims him or who he claims. It's all kind of semantics. Both schools played a role in helping him become the golfer that he is today. For me, it's an SID thing, like when you're starting to count schools with majors, that's where it gets kind of wonky. And I find it fascinating too in the NIL era. The first person I think of just with transferring is Jalen Hurts. Who is he, an Alabama player? Is he an Oklahoma player? Chris Gotterup, his one final year at college at Oklahoma. Is he a Rutgers player? Is he in Oklahoma? I think that's kind of where it goes. But I found it interesting. Oklahoma State was tweeting up a storm. The Cowboy Golf account was tweeting up a storm about Wyndham Clark winning the U.S. Open. And it led me to tweet, who claims this guy? Does he claim Oregon? Does he claim Oklahoma State? There's some gray area there. And everyone kind of started jumping on me and stating all these things. But I did notice that he brought the U.S. Open trophy to an Oregon football game. He didn't bring it to Boone Pickens Stadium. Now, maybe he will this year. But people did correct me, and they sent an article from 2022, I believe.
Yes.
Where Wyndham played in that Pro-Am event they always have, that fundraising event where all the former guys come back. And to me, that was kind of like when they mended fences, or I don't know if fences needed mended, so to speak. But he went on the record stating that.
Yeah, just brought him back.
Right. Brought him back in the fold, and he went on the record stating, when I think of my college experience, I think of Oklahoma State. So that's a lot of words to say, Colby, that I think now Oklahoma State has 3 majors because that is Wyndham's second U.S. Open. Your thoughts on all those semantics and everything that kind of got stirred up post-win? Because Oregon was tweeting up a storm like they're his pride and joy too. So maybe it's just a case where both schools get to champion it.
Yeah, I think it's okay for both schools to champion it. So I'm reading a lot of these quotes from Wyndham Clark the other day, back from 2022, and basically I'm paraphrasing, he needed to go somewhere where everybody didn't know and associate him with what happened with his mom. His mom got very sick. She passed. It was very hard on him. It's been very public. And it's been something that he's had to deal with as a young adult, now even into his adult life. And his quotes in here are just like, he loves Oklahoma State. He said, I graduated from Oregon, but my college time was here. All of my college memories, all of the fun times I had with my teammates and the golf, the football games and the tailgating and all the fun stuff we did outside of golf. When I think of my college experience, I definitely think of Oklahoma State. And to me, what flipped me on Wyndham was Wyndham's love for Oklahoma State and Wyndham's public claiming of Oklahoma State, even as recently as 6 weeks ago when he won the CJ Cup down at TPC Craig Ranch or the Byron Nelson, pardon me, whichever one it was. I don't know. I get them confused. Whichever one he won down there at TPC Craig Ranch.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they're handing him a cowboy hat. They're like, you have a cowboy hat? And he's like, dude, I spent 4 years in Stillwater. Yeah, of course. And that's what really kind of brought me back around on Wyndham Clark. I'm like, he claims us. He loves us. He talks glowingly about Oklahoma State. He spent 4 years there. That's his college experience. And then he needed 1 year to go reset and go be somewhere where, quite frankly, to not mince words, he wasn't the kid that everybody felt bad for because his mom died. Real life things happened to Wyndham Clark, and he needed something different. So, I'm to the point now where I do claim Wyndham Clark. I'm okay with Oregon claiming Wyndham Clark. Wyndham has gone through some things in the professional game over the last few years. He has dealt with some real anger on the course and off the course, in the locker room at Oakmont. His apology after that wasn't great, and he has spent time since then, I think, trying to make up for that. I thought he was really good post-round talking about that, and I think that a number of things that happened Sunday at Shinnecock Hills brought some people back around on Wyndham. Number one, the way he said he's done a lot of things he regrets. He's been sorry. He's still sorry. He hopes he can win people back over. But just the unbelievably poor treatment from the crowd. Like, I don't know if you saw what Eamon Lynch said about it afterward. He said the PGA should pull the PGA Championship from Bethpage in 2033. He said that golf should stop going to Long Island. That is specifically a Long Island problem. This doesn't happen other places in New York. And I know people will say, football, basketball, like things are being yelled at players all the time, but outfielders are getting yelled at in baseball. Like, I'm a golf purist. It's a different game. It's a sport of honor and integrity and decorum. And another point Eamon Lynch made, he said all the majors should be no phones, no exceptions, no tolerance. You get caught with a phone on property, boom, you're gone. Ticket revoked. Any passes for the week revoked. It would be a better viewing experience for everyone on site. It would be so much better for the players. We wouldn't have crypto bros trying to go viral, get their viral moment because they're yelling at Rory in the middle of his backswing. Like, it's just, it goes too far at Bethpage and at Shinnecock specifically. And his treatment on Sunday, I thought actually turned him into a sympathetic figure. And I think it brought some people around on him. The lag putt on 18, just so good. 2 majors now, 2-time U.S. Open champion. I mean, his resume is Bryson DeChambeau's resume. It's unbelievable what he's accomplished the last several years, from essentially just a middling tour guy to now a 2-time U.S. Open champion.
And when you think about, it was like deja vu. Think about his first U.S. Open at LACC, LA Country Club. He fights off Rory McIlroy, has a very long 2-putt, and knocks both to like a couple inches. And it was almost like deja vu. And this time he holds off the world number 1 Scotty Scheffler and does the same thing and wins. And I'm totally with you on like the treatment. Like, look, there's a reason why people don't like Wyndham Clark. All the things you referenced with the Oakmont situation. He destroyed a locker, for people that aren't familiar, a historic locker room, really sacred ground that he vandalized essentially. But the worst incident was when he launched his driver into, ironically, a T-Mobile sponsorship board. He's literally sponsored by T-Mobile, which is just hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It's what a world we live in. And almost hit a volunteer with that. He could have hurt somebody with that. And it's been, these things have piled up, and he hasn't handled them great in terms of owning it. I think after the round on Sunday, I think was the most we've ever heard him kind of own it publicly. But that's why people really don't like Wyndham Clark. Now, all that's to say, are all those incidents and just the way he carries himself, like, look, as golf fans, we have very little to go on who we want to root for. These guys are all pretty much dial tones for the most part. So you kind of just go off what vibes you can sense, essentially, what they say in public and things like that. But is all that worth the treatment he got? He got treated like a European at the Ryder Cup, essentially. It wasn't as bad as that. But to me, Colt, it wasn't a Ryder Cup bad level. I don't want to misstate this. It was more of when Brian Harman was running away with the British Open over there on foreign soil, and everyone was kind of just throwing little jabs here and there as he's walking down the fairway. It was very similar to that, and Harman handled it with similar grace. But I just think, combined with the fact that he was up by so many shots, people wanted someone else to make it interesting. I think that was part of it. But does the punishment really fit the crimes here? I think it feels like he's a pariah amongst the golf fans in New York for things that, sure, are regrettable, but nowhere near worthy of that level of treatment for an American playing in the U.S. Open. An American who's played on the Ryder Cup team. This is one of our guys. And you guys are treating him like he's Colin Montgomery. It was just bizarre.
Yeah, it was very Ryder Cup-esque when on the 6th hole, the pin's on the left, he's coming in from the fairway, there's a little hump, a little turtle shell over on the right side. His ball gets just on the wrong side of that and starts rolling off the green, and the fans are all cheering, like audibly. You can hear it on the broadcast. They could hear it in the fairway. Scotty mentioned it after the round about like it was odd, it was uncomfortable. An American contending to win the U.S. Open, and I understand Sam Burns was chasing, Scotty Scheffler was chasing. Those are Americans as well. People wanted to see somebody else, but it really did feel like this tribe mentality of, oh, we hate Wyndham Clark today? Okay, let's all hate Wyndham Clark today. And then they all started feeding off each other. And seriously, man, those Long Island golf fans are the worst. They're the worst. Like everywhere else, pretty much to a man across the country, across the world, golfers are treated with a certain level of respect that they are just not treated with on Long Island. And, it is what it is. I'm glad that he won the tournament. I would have been really I did kind of want it to get interesting on Sunday, but I didn't want it to be like some big choke. I wanted Scotty or Sam Burns to go out and shoot 65 on a really difficult golf course and him have to earn it. And Burns shot 67, and he did have to earn it. And the putt at LACC was 60 feet, lagged it up stone dead. We were in the pool at my parents' house on Sunday. I had the TV out on the back patio. When he had that approach shot and it got up onto the green, he looked like he hated it on 18. I think maybe he thought he didn't catch it and it wasn't going to carry the cross bunker or something, but it gets up onto the green. I'm looking at that putt straight up the hill, and I'm like, this is exactly what he did at LACC. He's going to lag this thing up there stone dead. He's going to tap it in. He's the U.S. Open champion. And Carson, oh my gosh, tugging at your heartstrings. He didn't know his dad was there. Father's Day. He didn't know his dad was there. He took the red eye. And, all of his buddies come out onto the green, and then he looks over and he sees his dad, and he's just like, and then just the emotion and the hug from him and his dad, and obviously everything they've been through. It's just, man, that got me in the feels when him and his dad embraced on Father's Day.
Yeah, especially knowing everything they've really been through. It's pretty heartwarming stuff to see that on Father's Day. It's always like the best part of the U.S. Open. And I thought Scotty Scheffler, who I find to be rather boring on course, I thought he really summed up kind of the best way to articulate what Wyndham went through and how he persevered. I thought it was really impressive, Colby, that he played as well as he did to win despite all of that going on, and despite the fact you had a 6-shot lead. It's really hard to just play golf with a 6-shot lead because it just changes your entire makeup and mentality of, I got to protect this lead. You're not just playing golf. So I thought when he actually made the turn, it was only had a 1-shot lead. He finally could just breathe and be like, okay, let's just go play the golf course the way I know how to play it. Like, let's just quit worrying about the score here. I have to just go play golf. Kind of calmed him down. But to Scotty's point, he was asked about Wyndham and the treatment that he got in New York. And Scotty said, quote, "The crowd was tough today. I mean, New Yorkers, they are tough people. There was a good turnout from the fans. You like seeing the fans cheer for you. I think sometimes it can get a little too much when, balls are kind of going off greens and you start hearing cheers. That felt a bit much to me. Being in the arena is not for everybody." And I think it shows a lot about Wyndham, how he handled not only this golf course, but I think the crowd today as well. And he is a well-deserving champion. Colby, not a lot of golfers could be mentally tough enough in that arena with all that going on, knowing everyone is rooting against you, to make the clutch shots that he made. I thought Scotty summed it up very well there.
Yeah, Scotty's had more interesting things to say recently, I think. And this was good from Scotty after the round, and I thought he did good of supporting Wyndham there, and said, look, this is big time for him to come out and perform the way he did. Yes, he faltered a little bit on Sunday. That's a tough golf course. The USGA made it as easy as they could make it, and that's what the scores were. It just Rory looked like he was going to win it for 2 days, and I think he finished like 10 over, because it's just there's a fine line at Shinnecock between making pars, birdies, bogeys, doubles, triples. Like, it's all out there, and he kept it together just enough to get it across the line. Sam Burns, always a bridesmaid, but good stuff from Wyndham. Extremely happy for him, and hopefully we can see one of these other guys break through. Stout hovered on the leaderboard for about 2 hours on Thursday, and then, boy, he threw that thing in reverse, Carson. It got away from him a little bit. I
tweeted about our friendly wager, and then he just went kaput after that. The old Carson Twitter jinx got him again. I was going to ask you, I think our wager's dead now since Wyndham won. He's considered a cowboy by everybody. We made the wager when Wyndham had already won one, so I guess it's like next guy to win one non-Wyndham division at this point. I don't know, but it's interesting. Also, I know people probably don't want him to get a shout out maybe on this show, but Ryder Cowan from Oklahoma tied Low Am, University of Oklahoma. He played some great golf. His
grandpa worked with my grandpa for a long time in Chickasha in the school system. His family is from Chickasha. We've got family friends together. Ryder wouldn't remember this, but I met Ryder when he was like 12 out at Oak Tree one day. His family lives out there, and he was out riding around in the family car, just jumping from hole to hole, hitting as many shots as he could at like 7 o'clock at night, and just seemed like a really good kid. He had the drive, chip, and putt stuff going on. So it was cool to see him go out and play as well as he did. That's it's rare for me to shout out anybody that wears crimson and cream, but I'll give Ryder Cowan a little shout out for the Chickasha connection.
I actually saw a picture of him when he was like 11 or 12 as well, because one of the people I work with, his son played with Ryder at Edmond North and kind of grew up with him. I think he transferred to like OCS at some point in his high school career, but his son and Ryder were friends. He's been talking about him all year, so I thought of him when I saw Ryder Cowan on the leaderboard, and he and I were able to talk about it on Monday. He was just beaming, just so happy for him. Said he comes from a great family, and it's always cool when they say from Edmond, Oklahoma, when they're announcing the low AM. That's pretty cool. Clearly, he can hack it at that level. Oklahoma's and Oklahoma State very well represented, so really cool deal. And overall, I just think for Wyndham Clark, it's kind of retribution for a tough year. He talked a lot about that. He had a hard year last year where he fell out of the Ryder Cup standings, had all the anger issues have boiled up. He's worked a lot with that mental coach. And I think it was telling too in that article from 2022, Alan Bratton said like he was out of the lineup at that point. He said he's got a lot of anger to sort through. And it appears that he's able to harness that when he's on the golf course, at least to win 2 majors. That's heady stuff. He essentially doubled Oklahoma State's major totals we've all talked about for so long. Bob Tway winning the PGA, now Wyndham 2 U.S. Opens. That's it's about time, Colby. We consider him a Cowboy. It's about time Oklahoma State added to their major total. Does it feel right? Does it feel real to you?
Yeah, it does. It does. I still, Carson, like if Ricky ever won one, if Vic ever won one, like that would hit different. It would hit different for a guy who bled orange his entire career. And again, Wyndham had extenuating circumstances in his life that made that the right decision for him. It would hit different if it happened for Ricky, or if it happened for Vic, or if it happens one of these days for Stout or Fang or Lee or one of these guys. It would hit different. But yes, I still claim Wyndham Clark. I hope at Karsten his picture holding the U.S. Open trophy hangs in the clubhouse. I hope his bag's up on the shelf. He's a Cowboy. He loves Oklahoma State. He claims Oklahoma State. And I would love to see him at Boone Pickens Stadium holding the U.S. Open trophy up and get announced and get a big ovation. I think that would be fantastic. I know the opinions on Wyndham Clark still a little bit mixed. The opinions on Echo Contracting, not mixed. Contracting is a proud sponsor of the pod, offering electrical contracting services throughout all of Oklahoma. They pride themselves on high-quality, professional jobs done right the first time. Call or text for a quote today, 405-279-8444, or email info@echo-contracting.com. Echo Contracting.
Yeah, I got to add a microphone, I guess, too. I'm using my new software tonight. We haven't crashed yet, knock on all the wood. So hopefully this is working great, but I need to add a microphone to our Echo Contracting drop there. So you did that all on camera. Thank you very much. I tell you what, Colby, we had a lot of Twitter questions, which we're about to get to as well. But first, I think we wanted to highlight Oklahoma State women's basketball, the job they've done in the transfer portal. I'm starting to see now that they're preseason top 10 team in some early preseason prognostications, and a lot of Twitter questions about the funding for OSU baseball. Clearly the funding is there for OSU basketball. And I think you want to talk about Liv McGill, this player that, former All Big 12 first team selection. Is she 6'7"? Is that the 6'7" girl? Tell me about this transfer you want to discuss on the show.
No, you're good. You're getting your names mixed up, but it's all good. So Liv McGill, there are a couple of stories right now on pistolsfiringblog.com that people should go read. One is about Liv McGill, and it's about the competition that she has instilled, and some really great quotes from J.C. Hoyt about how they are very much cut from the same cloth. There's kind of the insinuation that something private, some sort of connection was made between Coach Hoyt and Liv McGill, that they're like a little more competitive than the average person. So that's a really good story up on PFB right now. And then also Moitze Yelinks. 6'7", 23 years old, coming over. She's Slovenian, and she's coming over. She's been playing in Europe, so she's played in Hungary. At times, she's played in Slovenia as well. She's been good everywhere she's been. In the 23-24 season in the Slovenian league, she averaged 16, 8, and 1.5 assists a game. This last season in Hungary, she averaged 11 and 6. She shot 48% from the field and 39% from three at 6'7". Carson, like, this is a big get this late in the cycle to go out and get a girl at 6'7", with that kind of size and that kind of skill. Like, this is just J.C. Hoyt crushing it this offseason. And like, when basketball season rolls around next year, I think this could be a big time team in women's college basketball. And I hate the, second weekend or bust, Final Four or bust. I hate that stuff, especially in June. But like, I think this is a team that Oklahoma State fans can really have high hopes that we can grow to love this team. Even, we talked several years ago about, do you put a team in the oven and do you bake it or do you microwave it? Even if this team's microwaved, like, this is where collegiate athletics is at right now. The old model's kind of out, and J.C. Hoyt crushed it this offseason. We'll see what happens in March. We'll see what happens in the Big 12 and where they fall nationally. But as far as who won the offseason in women's college basketball, I can't imagine there's another team nationwide that has made a bigger leap talent-wise than Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I mean, you combine that with Audie Crooks, who was the number one player in the transfer portal, is interesting. You gotta love a little reverse psychology. Apparently, J.C. Hoyt, there's an article about this on Pistols Firing blog from Tyler Waldrop. Everybody should check it out. J.C. Hoyt put together some clips of a low light highlight reel, just a reel of missed layups. And she was the number one prospect. And I thought to myself, this is Audie Crooks talking, I thought to myself, man, that's pretty gutsy for you to sit here and show me everything I'm doing wrong, but I appreciate that. I appreciated the reality. I appreciate her approach. She's not just going to be somebody that says, oh, come over here. We have the sun and the moon and the stars. No, you're here to work. So you got to love the tough love approach that landed the number one player in the transfer portal. So again, I've been saying this a long time on this show, like, J.C. Hoyt's crushing it. She's getting indoors that the Cowgirl basketball coach has never gotten into before, and you're seeing the fruits of that labor with Audie Crooks. And I did have one Twitter question I didn't put in the show that wanted you to pronounce the name of the 6'7" girl. Fortunately for you, Marshall Scott put the phonetic pronunciation in there for you, so that helped out.
Yeah, I saw that one on Twitter too, but I'd already read that earlier today. I already had it pulled up. It's Moitze Yelinks. I would not have gotten close without the phonetics on there. So I do want to say real quick about J.C. Hoyt. Like, obviously the money is there, but we can see from what Liv McGill has been saying, from what Audie Crooks has been saying, like, you still have to build the relationship. You still have to convince the player that, yes, we can get you on the NIL side, and I can develop you to your fullest potential, and I can give this team a chance to win, and we can do special things together. And J.C. Hoyt, clearly very good at that relationship building. So all the praise to her for this offseason.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Kurt Bucky, once upon a time with Andrea Riley, had that place rocking for women's basketball, and love to see it. That'd be fantastic if she can get that place rocking again. Let's get to Twitter questions here before we wrap up the show. Again, appreciate everyone who listens on the audio platforms and YouTube. So on YouTube, if you're watching the podcast, Mr. Tech Lord himself, Carson here with my new software, I'm gonna put the pictures up. So if you send a Twitter question in and we answer it, you'll be able to see your name and profile picture here. Let's start with what we kind of started with off the top of the show. Whoops, wrong one there. Maybe not. Let's not do that one. You loved this one. Let's start here. This is from Philip. Okay, Texas, Arkansas, Polk. What do you think is Coach Morris's favorite casino game? There's a lot of options here. You can probably roll out to the casino. Dana Holgerson loved rolling out to the casino in Tulsa that we just mentioned off the top. I heard he spent way more time in Tulsa than he did in Stillwater with the OC. What about Coach Morris, though?
So I think Coach Morris is a super processor. I think he has a brain like an AI computer for numbers, for figuring things out. Carson, there's a card game called Omaha. You familiar with Omaha?
Oh, yeah. It's like you get – yes. It's like a more cards, but basically a Texas Hold'em with more cards, essentially.
Yeah, you get dealt 4 cards. You can use 2 or 3. I haven't played it in a long time. Used to play a little bit, and then you pair that with the cards on the board. You can only use so many in your hand, so many on the boards. But those extra cards add so many more calculations into what you're figuring out. I think that his brain would be able to super compute and super process everything happening with Omaha, where you give him a month to learn that game, and I think he could sit down at a table, and as soon as the river is thrown down, he could tell you he has a 72% chance to win that hand, and he'll bet accordingly. So I'm going with Omaha.
See, I think he's too busy recruiting and running a football program to analyze Omaha. I think he just goes with the more simplistic method of blackjack. If we're talking supercomputer processing and counting cards, you might go that angle, but I'm actually going to go a different angle. I'm going to go with my favorite casino game, and that would be craps, rolling the dice. Eric Morris just strikes me as one of the most affable, friendly, gregarious, easy to get along with dudes you could ever come across. Just seems like he could join our golf game on a weekday, Colby, and just fit right in. So I think craps is a very social game. When you get that hot table rolling, I could see Eric Morrison there getting the whole table together and in sync and in unison with their celebrations and stuff like that.
That's a good call. It's a good call. I would love for Eric Morris to join my golf game. We could play for any amount that he wants to with that head coaching salary.
And he's the quarterback whisperer. He knows how to throw the football. He knows what to see. He can tell with one throw of the dice if you've got it or not. He's going to know if it's going to be, if you're going to be hitting the numbers or not. He can see right away. So I'll go with craps on that.
Yeah, craps is a good one.
Go to a longtime friend of the show, watcher of the show, viewer of the show, our friend Brian Metcalf. He said fiscal year starts in a week. Right off the top, revenue sharing, operation cost, and salaries eat up a lot of the budget. Where does the school invest the rest of the budget? Do we realistically see a softball, wrestling, etc. upgrade in short term, or save money for the long term? That's a very highbrow, fiscally centric question, Colby, but I think it's a good one. Where's the money going? You think? How do you kind of see his question and where the money goes?
Yeah, I think he's basically asking, are we going to see any facilities upgrades for these sports who deserve them and for a long time have deserved them, or is the money going to go elsewhere? Sam Presti, in his postseason press conference, talked about this as it relates to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he said that they've got a piece of land and they are ready to go on a new practice facility. And they've decided, you know what? No, let's not do that. That's not important right now. What's important right now is this roster. And I think similar decisions are being made around the country with collegiate athletics. I think similar decisions are probably being made at Oklahoma State. I have no inside intel, no inside information. I would be surprised if Kenny Gajewski said, yeah, let's greenlight $30 million for a new stadium, as opposed to let's put as much money as we can into the roster and try to win. I'd be surprised, same front with David Taylor, if he's talking to Chad Richardson and the conversation is about, facilities upgrades as opposed to what the roster needs are. So that's just my outside looking in perspective. I think in this pay-for-play era, until this gets more affordable and there's a budget and colleges actually kind of know how much money they have and don't have, then maybe at some point we can get back to the era of the facilities arms race. But right now we are not in a facilities arms race. We're in an NIL arms race, and I think that is where money is likely to be spent, at least in the short term.
Yeah, certainly in the short term. But I do feel, like I mentioned a little bit on the last show, I do feel like we're trending to Title IX still exists, and I understand it's the NIL era. I understand money revolves around building a roster. But when you look at O'Brate Stadium and what the men have for baseball, and then you look at what the women have for softball, that is a lawsuit. That is a Title IX lawsuit waiting to happen. So I certainly understand the needs and wants. We all want to win. We all want to get the best players. But you also have to make things equitable under Title IX. Things have to be as close to equal as you can. Of course, there's football, which is, a totally different deal than anything the women's sports have. But I do think that it's very important, I think, to take care of the softball team. They've been as good as anybody on campus over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, however long Kenny Gajewski's been there. So I would like to see the softball team getting taken care of. Obviously, and maybe that'll take a Chad Richardson of softball. Maybe that's the answer. Yeah. But that's where I would like to see the next big investment go? Because we've taken care of baseball. We've now taken care of wrestling. Of course, football is always going to be taken care of, as well as both basketball programs.
Tennis.
Softball team, man. Tennis has their facility. Yeah. Exactly.
Soccer.
I mean,
soccer. Yeah.
Softball's just been left behind. So hopefully that's where it goes moving forward.
Yeah, now I'm thinking of all the sports that have had the big influx of money and gotten taken care of, and it's all of them. It's tennis, it's soccer, it's golf with the massive Karsten renovation. It's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, and softball and wrestling are like, hey, us too. And it's just the timing could not have worked out more poorly for those sports where now it's like you're crunching every dollar to get it into the roster, and it's just, there's only so many dollars to go around.
Yep, unfortunately so. We got another one here from Matt Truelove. He's got a two-parter here, Colby. He says, what's your prediction for Mike Boynton and how he does at Michigan? He's just named the interim head coach at Michigan with Dusty May going to be the new Dallas Mavericks head coach. Is he able to do well enough to earn the job? Let's just start there, and then we'll answer question 2. What do you think about Boynton getting the interim job there at Michigan?
Yeah, really curious what that means. We know that Mike Boynton is very likable, and that if you get in a room with Mike Boynton and you let him talk to you for a little while, you might be convinced that he can lead the Michigan basketball program. And maybe they are. I would love to see him be the head coach at a place like Michigan where we know he's going to have the resources, a program that just put 3 picks in the top 12 of the NBA draft, won a national championship. Like, I would love to see what Mike Boynton could do at that program. I don't know how they've got this set up because it's June, right? Like the season doesn't start for 5 months. So is this a situation where like he's just kind of keeping things together for a few weeks while they run a big search and bring somebody in? I'm sure they're going to do their due diligence. I would say just based on the level of job that Michigan is and their ability to go just about anywhere in the country and handpick whoever they want, I think I would be pretty surprised if he starts next season as the head coach at Michigan, but I would love to see it happen, and if it does, I'll be rooting for him like crazy. It didn't work here in terms of wins and losses, but we all know what kind of man Mike Boynton was, and he represented the orange and black very well.
Yeah, he has just been named as an interim as they search for the next head coach, essentially. So I do think it's
I'm sure he'll get an interview.
It's an audition. I mean, and he'll get an interview, like you said, and once upon a time, no one thought he was getting the Oklahoma State head job when he walked into that interview room, and lo and behold, he did. And more than anything, I'm just really happy for Mike Boynton. He has been nothing but gracious and kind to me, and just like everyone else he ever came across in Stillwater. And I think we're all pulling for him. Didn't work out here in Stillwater, but I think we all knew once he got to Michigan with all they have behind them that he was going to kill it as an assistant coach. And this was a quote from Dusty May. Quote, Mike has been an invaluable member of our staff and a respected leader throughout his career. He knows what Michigan basketball represents and has earned the trust and respect of our student athletes and everyone in the program. So I'm with you, though. I mean, they just won the national championship. I don't think the fan base would accept hiring Mike Boynton, but who knows? Crazier things have happened. I mean, they did hire Sharon Moore to take over for Jim Harbaugh. That clearly was a disaster, but that I only bring that up to say this guy was on staff and they promoted him. So it's not unheard of, even at that school, even a team that they won the national championship in football. So there is precedent for Mike Boynton. As I'm talking through it here, it's not that crazy of a reality that he could get the job, but we'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, #let's work. I'm excited for Mike Boynton. Question 2, who will be the athlete of the year for OSU athletics? Let's make this fun. You can't choose Drew Mestemaker.
Can't choose Mestemaker. If we can't choose Mestemaker, then I think I'm just going to use my brain a little bit and just totally go non-football division. Athlete of the year, I'm going to have 2 nominations. One is Jax Forrest. I think he has a chance to come out next year and just be legendary. Like, just go absolutely ballistic. Is this asking just for 2026 or I'm answering this for the 26-27 school year? The 26-27.
We're in the off season, so we're heading into the new season.
Yeah, so I will say either Jax Forrest or let's say Oklahoma State women's basketball makes an Elite 8 run, Final Four run. Let's say they win the Big 12. Let's say this is one of the best teams in the country. There's a chance that Liv McGill averages 25 points, 6 rebounds and 6 assists on that team. I'm going to go Jax Forrest, and I'll throw Liv McGill at you as a wild card if Oklahoma State women's basketball seriously gets things rocking.
Those are really good answers. And I do feel like it's the minor sports that typically win these awards. I say minor, just not football and basketball. I'll go Preston Stout.
Yeah, I left it there for you. I put it on a T for you. I was like, you got to take Stout.
I got to take Stout. From all intents and purposes, he's coming back. I think this PGA announcing this 2-tier thing is even more incentive for him to come back. In addition to all the things I've kind of reported on here between the Nike money, the NIL money there, and just the PGA Tour U, which you and I have discussed, it sets you up so much better getting your card right out of college doing that. So I think he'll come back, and I think he'll crush it now that Jackson Coyvin's out of the way. For ladies, I'll go Audie Crooks. Take the layup there. The layups that she missed before here will not be missing. They will be going in, and I'll take that layup for Women's Athlete of the Year. How about this one, Colby? From OK State Empire. With Sorsby now out of Texas Tech, is there a real shot that Oklahoma State could win the Big 12, or is the defense and offensive line too much of a question mark to say so yet?
The way this question is phrased, is there a real shot? Yeah, there's a real shot. Why shouldn't Oklahoma State fans be optimistic about what they've had walk through the door? Like, why shouldn't Oklahoma State fans be optimistic that if the defense is just good enough, I trust Eric Morris to figure out the offensive line. I trust Eric Morris to make the offense work. I think this team is going to score a ton of points. I believe it's either November 7th or November 14th. Texas Tech comes to town. That's going to be the big one. Like that could decide some things in the Big 12, and it depends. I still think it's going to come down to close games. I don't know that this team's going to be good enough on both sides of the ball where it's going to be a 2011 situation and you're just running teams out of the building. Even that season, you had to win some close ones. I think we all remember the earthquake whenever we beat Kansas State 52-45. So yeah, you're going to have to win some close ones, but why shouldn't we be optimistic? Yeah, there's a real shot. It's not going to be the betting favorite. I'm probably not going to predict it going into the season. I think Texas Tech is still just going to be absolutely loaded across the board. I think BYU is going to be really good again. They've got a quarterback returning. Like, there are going to be other good programs that are going to have a chance to win this conference. But this is once again going to be the conference of parity. Why can't Oklahoma State be involved in that? Yeah, there's a real shot.
I think that's well said. And I do think it's interesting, and I bring this up every year, and I say this at complete surface level. The new NCAA video game ratings came out, and Oklahoma State is the third best team on the game. And before you joke and laugh,
in the Big 12,
they're in the Big 12. Sorry, not in the country.
Okay,
in the Big 12.
You said in the game, and I was like, whoa.
I misspoke there. I meant in the third in the game in the Big 12. And they're factoring in just the sheer talent. Like, they evaluate the rosters. And that's where I cannot wrap my head around OSU's win total still being 5.5. And look, are there questions on the offensive line? Absolutely. Are there questions throughout the entire defense? No question. But when you look at the skill talent they have, that's what wins you games. And for them to be ranked 10th, 11th in the conference or whatever they are, win total wise, just doesn't match up with the talent they have. And I think the video game, to me, has really evaluated the roster. And while there are questions, maybe they've boosted the defense to a level that maybe doesn't deserve it. Who knows? But my point is, they absolutely can win the Big 12, especially now with Sorsby out. Without Sorsby, to me, it's wide open. I know Tech's loaded. They're bringing a lot of talent back, but they also lost a ton of talent. Primarily Bailey, the defensive lineman that went in the top 3 of the NFL draft.
And
that's
Rodriguez.
A difference maker.
And Rodriguez,
their number 1 Heisman level linebacker. So yeah,
we know what it feels like to lose a Rodriguez. Yeah, we know what it feels like to lose a Rodriguez at linebacker. It hurts, and they are irreplaceable. So get ready for that, Texas Tech fans. Do you know, by the way, if it was BYU and Texas Tech ahead of them on the video game? I would assume it was, but if you don't have it,
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was.
I would assume it was.
Earlier. Marshall Scott wrote it up on it on the blog. So
yeah, BYU in mind.
Good friend of the show, OK State Season, always sends us good stuff. Appreciate him always tweeting at us on Twitter. He says, I have no question. My request is to do one final dunk on Texas Tech for comedy's sake. The level they went down to win at any cost was disgraceful. What an absolute clown show that saga was. I think the NFL made the Texas Tech look even more ridiculous by saying, no, we're not going to have a supplemental draft. They announced that this week. They're like, we don't tolerate gambling issues. We're not doing a supplemental draft, Brennan Sorsby. You have no place in our game. which makes Texas Tech look even worse. Like, if that was even possible coming into this show, Colby, pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you and I talked about it. Well, one of the sweetest things of this is since Cody Campbell made his money, I think you and I probably both agree he must have gotten his way, just everything he wanted. He was a donor for Ken Paxton's last campaign for AG. He's going to be a donor, a big donor for his Senate campaign. And he thought he could run Ken Paxton out there and say, by God, he's playing. And if you try to say anything different, the whole state of Texas is coming after you. They sent out a 22-minute round table video of these 5 grown men sitting around talking about how they're actually the ones with all of the integrity. Like, it's us. We're the ones with all the integrity. Trust us. How can you all not see this? It was unbelievable. It was embarrassing. I can't imagine how those 5 people feel now. Like, you took the reputational hit without the actual wins and losses reward. And like, there was an argument to be made that him playing would have actually been good for the Big 12 because they would have been so polarizing all season. Those games would have been must view television and all these things. But still, it's the cardinal sin. And now some people are mad at the NFL and stuff and feel like Sorsby's getting a raw deal over mistakes he made when he was 19. And I'm just here to say this. Brendan Sorsby, not a victim. Not a victim. I'm sorry. It is the cardinal rule. You don't bet on the games. It's the cardinal. And you can sit there all you want and say, yeah, but it actually didn't impact the results, anything like that. He bet on his own team. He bet on teammates, player props. Like, it is the cardinal rule. So, like, next year, he goes into the draft. He gets drafted. A team picks him up as a UDFA, whatever, puts him on the roster. He makes it to the NFL, and all this stuff is behind him, and he never has any issues again. Fine. It's not something I'm going to hold against him forever. But do I think the consequences of being done playing collegiate football forever in the NFL, not holding a supplemental draft for one guy, are fair? I do. I don't think this kid is a victim. I think Texas Tech made absolute fools out of themselves, and I am really glad that Cody Campbell got to sit down one night and realize that his money couldn't buy him everything.
I tried to do the Colby crash out. I don't have a mic in there either. I got to fix that.
Well, and I couldn't get as loud as I wanted to because it's almost 10 o'clock and my daughter's asleep. So that was
we got to wrap up
passionate
soon.
Without getting too loud.
We just touched on this from Buffalo, OK State. Women's basketball is loaded up this offseason. What should expectations be for them next season? I think Big 12 championship, right? And then from there, make some noise in the tournament.
I would say contend to win the conference, be a high seed in the tournament, and just don't flame out early. That's, I think that's very reasonable. I don't ask for much, Carson. I don't ask for much.
This is a question we got about 100 times. Why does OSU baseball have such a disparity in their own league regarding funding? Is Josh not a good fundraiser? When I know stuff, Colby, I come out here and I report it when I feel good about it, and I've confirmed it other places. I don't have the information on why baseball's so down and scholarship numbers, those level of things. We know they got O'Brate built, but part of me, a couple of questions asked, is this a Mike Gundy situation where donors have stopped donating? And I don't claim to know, but I do think it's very concerning when Bill Hastings goes on the record with Josh Holliday and he basically confirmed those scholarship numbers. That to me is it's understandable why they didn't go to the College World Series this year,
I had a close source at a baseball dinner on Monday night where they spoke to some of the season ticket holders and things.
Sauces.
And a very close source who took some notes for me. And basically the university provides 13 scholarships for the baseball program. That's out of a maximum 34. And one of the things that they talked about Monday night is like Texas Tech, they're going to have 34. West Virginia, it's believed, already has, let me check my notes here, already has 28. They're also going to have $500,000 in revenue share and $1 million in NIL funds. The university provides 13. It was said on Monday that Oklahoma State is up to 23 for next season. Oklahoma State has 23 and will have 23 scholarship players. A big problem that Oklahoma State is going to run into moving forward is it doesn't seem like Oklahoma State has a big individual baseball donor right now giving a bunch of NIL money. And one thing, and I'm not speaking for Josh now, I'm no longer reading off notes. Those are just the scholarship numbers I had, is you don't want to become a farm system for the programs that have money. Like, you don't want to be able to bring guys in with your 13, now 23 scholarships, would like to get that number even higher. You don't want to bring those guys in, develop them, have them turn into really good players, and then have somebody else come in and take them. So it is a funding issue. We all saw what happened in Omaha on Monday night. Yes, that stings. No, that's not any reflection on Josh Holiday. It's not time to fire Josh Holiday because the school down the road went out and went on some magic run and won it. They need more funding. They need some injury luck. They kind of need some things to go their way. I will say this, Carson. I had an in-person conversation today with my source from Monday night, and my vibes after that conversation were that Josh's seat is not as warm as the one that I'm sitting in right now. And it's just not even a little bit. If you're sitting around waiting for Josh Holiday to be fired, go do something else. Stop wasting your time. Stop wasting your breath. Stop tapping away at your keyboard. It's not happening. He is beloved. They're trying to get the resources to compete better. He's doing the best with what he has. Josh's seat's not even remotely warm, Carson. So the vocal minority, and I really do think it's just a vocal minority on social media that's out here, calling for Josh to be fired every day. I hope you know that recruits probably get on Twitter and just search Josh Holiday whenever they're looking at different schools and they read those things to see where things are at. His seat's not even warm, so you can continue screaming into the void if you want to. If that's the result that you're looking for, it's not even close to happening.
Yeah, and again, I think those scholarship numbers tell a story. In addition to all the injuries, like the injuries did matter, but they did get a big transfer. I think today or last couple of days, they got the former Mountain West Freshman of the Year, Sean Yamaguchi, committed to Oklahoma State. So they're doing work in the portal, and we'll have to see about next year. And they need to stay healthy. Like, when you're that few of scholarships and you have that level of injuries, it's case closed essentially. So that'll do it. Appreciate everyone sending in Twitter questions. I hope you enjoyed seeing your name up there on the screen. I'll try to get my Colby crash out mics working, my Echo contracting mics working, but we didn't crash at all this show, Colby. So I'd consider that a big win because I think everyone's tired of that happening beyond just us.
I am loving that there were no crashes tonight, and I could see the things you were putting on the screen. When you threw Chris's on the screen, I could see it. I could see the tweets on the screen.
Nice.
To pull back the curtain a little bit, for the last year, however long we've been doing the YouTube stuff, when Carson throws something up on the screen and talks about it, it's something that I've seen beforehand, or I'm not having to go to a different tab to pull it up. And it was very nice tonight. Kudos to you. Carson does a ton of work behind the scenes on all the video stuff. So kudos to you for all that.
Well, thank you. Hope everyone who watches on YouTube enjoys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't hit y'all over the head with that, but that would help the show. Appreciate everyone who has done that so far. But before you log off here, like and subscribe. And Colby, enjoyed it. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, we'll be back next week. Appreciate everyone watching and listening. As always, go Pokes.